Why were Ivan and Wang Yibo studying Rockit apples so seriously? At first glance, it looked like a completely ordinary apple tasting. But then you see their expressions. They were not casually picking up an apple. They were inspecting it, looking at the shape, checking the color, comparing one apple with another. And suddenly, the whole thing felt much more serious than it should. Because this was not just about eating an apple. Ivan and Wang Yibo were taking part in a sharp-eyed challenge featuring Rockit apples. And the question sounded simple. Which apple is perfectly round? Which one has the most consistent color? Sounds easy, right? Well, apparently, not when Wang Yibo and Ivan are involved. The two of them carefully examined the apples as if they were solving a very important mystery. One apple, then another, a closer look, a little comparison, and another serious inspection. You could almost imagine them thinking, wait, is this one really more perfect than the other? That tiny moment is exactly what made the scene so entertaining. Because Wang Yibo is known for his calm and focused personality. When he concentrates on something, even the smallest detail can suddenly feel important. And this time, the object of his attention was not a complicated racing machine, not a dance routine, and not a difficult acting scene. It was an apple. A very small apple. A very cute apple. And somehow, Wang Yibo was examining it with incredible seriousness. Ivan was doing the same. The two looked like they had been given an extremely difficult visual examination. Roundness? Check. Color? Check. Overall appearance? Definitely check. And the more carefully they looked, the funnier the situation became. Because normally, when you see a basket of apples, you probably just pick the one that looks good. You do not compare the curvature of the fruit. You do not carefully inspect the consistency of its color. You certainly do not stare at it like you are about to announce the winner of an international competition. But this challenge had a very interesting point. What if there was no obvious winner? What if every apple looked almost equally perfect? That is where Rockit comes in. The idea behind the challenge was actually connected to one of the most noticeable characteristics of Rockit apples. They are carefully selected. The goal is to provide consumers with a consistent experience from apple to apple. So when Ivan and Wang Yibo were trying to find the roundest apple or the apple with the most consistent color, they were basically discovering something for themselves. Maybe the real answer was not to choose one apple over another. Maybe the answer was, you do not have to choose. And that is the clever part. Imagine spending all that time looking for the perfect apple, only to discover that the apples in front of you were already carefully selected for quality, freshness, appearance, and flavor. Suddenly, the challenge becomes much more interesting. Because the two celebrities were looking for differences. But Rockit was showing them consistency. And honestly, watching Wang Yibo take this tiny challenge so seriously was probably one of the most entertaining parts. There is something naturally funny about seeing a celebrity known for his cool image become completely focused on something so simple. His expression says everything. This is serious business. This apple needs to be examined. No shortcuts. No random selection. Look carefully. Compare carefully. And only then make a decision. Ivan and Yibo's reaction added another layer to the scene. Instead of simply grabbing an apple and moving on, he also joined the careful inspection. The result was almost like watching two detectives investigating a very delicious mystery. Which apple is the perfect one? Is it this one? Maybe that one. Wait. What about this one? And then comes the twist. Maybe all of them are the answer. That is also what makes this kind of celebrity brand moment work so well. It does not feel like a traditional advertisement where someone simply holds a product and says it is amazing. Instead, the product becomes part of a little story. There is a challenge. There is curiosity. There is competition. There are funny reactions. And finally, there is a simple conclusion. You do not need to spend forever searching for the perfect apple. Because Rockit apples are carefully selected to deliver a consistent experience. And for fans watching Wang Yibo, the real entertainment is not only the apple itself. It is seeing his personality through such a small moment. Wang Yibo has always had an interesting contrast in his public image. On one side, he can appear incredibly cool and composed. On the other side, when something catches his attention, he can become surprisingly focused. That contrast is exactly why seemingly ordinary moments involving him can become memorable. Give him a challenge, and suddenly he is locked in. Even if the challenge is simply deciding which apple looks the most perfectly round. And that brings us back to the original question. Why were Ivan and Wang Yibo studying Rockit apples so carefully? Because they were taking part in a visual challenge designed to test just how sharp their eyes were. They had to look beyond the obvious. Not just asking whether an apple looked good, but asking which one was rounder, which one had more consistent color, which one looked the most perfect. And the funny thing is that the challenge itself almost became the proof. The apples looked remarkably consistent. The differences were not as obvious as you might expect. And that is the message behind the moment. Careful selection matters. Consistency matters. Freshness matters. And of course, flavor matters. Rockit apples are positioned as a premium apple experience that aims to combine those qualities in every bite. So instead of choosing between the perfect shape and the perfect color, why not have both? Instead of wondering whether the next apple will be as good as the last one, why not expect consistency? And instead of making the decision complicated, maybe just enjoy the apple. There is also something very satisfying about seeing celebrities interact with food in these kinds of challenges. Food immediately makes the atmosphere more casual. It creates playful competition. And it gives viewers a chance to see a different side of their favorite stars. With Wang Yibo, that effect becomes even stronger because his calm personality makes his serious reactions unexpectedly funny. He does not need to exaggerate. He does not need to make a huge reaction. Sometimes, one concentrated look is enough. And when that concentrated look is directed at an apple, fans naturally want to know what is happening. What is he looking at? What is he thinking? Why is this apple suddenly so important? That is the magic of a simple entertainment moment. It takes something completely ordinary and gives it a little personality. An apple becomes a challenge. A challenge becomes a competition. A competition becomes a funny celebrity moment. And suddenly, everyone is talking about the apple. But perhaps the biggest takeaway is much simpler. You may think you need to search through a whole basket to find the one perfect apple. But when the apples have already been carefully selected, the decision becomes much easier. You can simply pick one and enjoy it. That is probably why the moment with Ivan and Wang Yibo works so well. They were searching for the difference. Rockit was showing them the consistency. They were looking for the most perfect apple. And the answer was that every apple could already be a great choice. So the next time you see someone carefully examining an apple, do not laugh too quickly. Maybe they are taking part in a serious test. Maybe they are searching for perfect roundness. Maybe they are checking the color. Or maybe they are about to discover that they do not actually have to choose. Because when every apple is carefully selected for quality, freshness, and flavor, the real challenge is no longer finding the perfect one. The real challenge is deciding which one you want to eat first. And honestly, watching Wang Yibo and Ivan take that decision so seriously makes the whole thing even more entertaining. One thing is certain. We came for Wang Yibo. We watched for the challenge. We laughed at the serious apple inspection. And now, we are suddenly craving a Rockit apple. Sometimes, the simplest celebrity moments really are the most memorable. And this one proves that you do not need a huge stage, dramatic lighting, or a complicated storyline to create an entertaining moment. Sometimes, all you need is Wang Yibo, Ivan, a few perfectly selected apples, and a very serious question. Which one is the perfect apple? Maybe the answer was right there all along. All of them. If you enjoyed this fun moment with Wang Yibo and Ivan, do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Chinese celebrity stories, trending entertainment moments, and behind-the-scenes content. Because in the world of celebrity entertainment, you never know what the next viral moment will be. Today, it was an apple. Tomorrow, it could be anything.